Hello and welcome to PMC English. This is Ayushi Pharasi and welcome to our series of Unplugged with Masters. Well, in this episode of Unplugged with Masters, we are going to get connected to one of the greatest masters and one of the celebrity monks on YouTube. The Vice President of ISKCON Dwarka, New Delhi, Amogh Lila Prabhu. Well, in this episode of Unplugged with Masters, we're going to unplug his life journey as to how he transformed his life from a software engineer to a monk and now to Vice President of ISKCON Dwarka, New Delhi. So Amogh Lila Prabhu, he has been guiding many people on the right path. So today in Unplugged with Masters, we're going to unplug his life journey. We're going to clarify a few of the common doubts of all the people, especially the youth, and I would also take this opportunity to get a few of my personal questions clarified from him. Without any further delay, let's get into conversation with Amogh Lila Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Amogh Lila Prabhu, and thank you so much for joining in this episode of Unplugged with Masters.
Hare Krishna, thank you Ayushi for inviting me. Thank you so much.
We are so honored to have you here.
I'm really honored to be part of this wonderful program, Unplugging with the Masters. I hope I would be an instrument in unplugging for the youths. Thank you very much for inviting me.
So starting with Amogh ji, how did the journey all began? Because people, they know you from the perspective of a monk, but we want to go a little back and we want to know about your journey as how you transformed yourself in these years. When you started from a software engineer, then you turned to a monk, and now you are a known personality and you're also serving ISKCON Dwarka. So how did the journey begin?
Well, journey began when I was in 7th standard. When I was in 7th standard, so in NCERT book, there was Sanskrit book. In Sanskrit book, there was one chapter, Gita Shlokam. And there was one verse especially which was very striking to me, which was Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramati balavad dridham. That mind is very chanchal, very restless, very obstinate, very stubborn, very strong. I was thinking that how come NCERT book knows about my mind, because my mind is actually very restless, very turbulent, very strong, very obstinate. How come NCERT book knows about it? So I went to my teacher and then I asked that, ma'am, how come this NCERT book knows about my mind? So my teacher said, well, my child, in your syllabus there is this Gita Shlokam one chapter, but actually there are 700 verses. In your syllabus this year there are only 7 verses, otherwise in total there are 700 verses in the Bhagavad Gita. So I was thinking that if these 7 verses which are so exposing, they are telling me about the world inside, my God, what about those 700 verses? And in this way there was thirst to read the Bhagavad Gita when I was in 7th standard. But since there was pressure for making career, focus on studies, all of that, so that's why that thirst remained unentertained. But yes, but I always kept that thirst alive. That was always there waiting. So I used to read the various versions of the Bhagavad Gita while studying during my school days. And by God's grace, I read around 8 different versions of the Bhagavad Gita. And the most striking one was Bhagavad Gita as it is by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Because here I could see that the person is really addicted to God and he wants to share his addiction with others. Other versions were quite intellectually very stimulating. The versions of Dr. Radha Krishnan, the version of Mahatma Gandhi, the version of Adi Shankaracharya. But I would say that the one which was spiritually very rejuvenating, and I could see that the addiction towards God was very, very dominant, was particularly in this version, which was Bhagavad Gita as it is by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. So this was one thing. Secondly, I had the desire to become a millionaire earlier, because I thought that people are suffering because of hunger and there is so much misery in this world. I should serve the needy people. But I could see that people are suffering less because of body, more because of the mind. And in this way, I changed my plan. Instead of becoming a millionaire, I decided that I should become a monk so that I can serve the minds of the people, because mind is making our life more miserable than the body. And there are so many people in this world who are working for the body, but there is no one working for the mind. Tan ki seva, and there is man ki seva. So then I thought that instead of tan ki seva, instead of serving the bodies, which already many people are doing, I should do man ki seva, because minds are miserable. So this was the second thing that I wanted to give myself for the welfare of the whole society. And thirdly, I could see that God has given me everything the best. During my school days, I was in academics. I was a topper, not really number one, but in top 5, I used to be there. In sports, extracurricular activities like singing, dancing, painting, sketching, extempore, I was very good. I was a topper. So I could see that God has given me so much, but I'm such a rascal. I'm so ungrateful that I'm not giving anything in return. What a kind of person I am. So any new achievement which would come in my life would suffocate me. And just see, God has given you even this, but you are such a rascal. You have given nothing to God in return. So achievements would suffocate me. So these 3 things got completely fulfilled when I joined as a monk. Although I did my BTech, I completed my engineering in computer science, and then I worked for 6 years in corporate sector because I wanted to serve my parents. I got lovely parents. So that's why I decided that I should serve my parents also for some time. And then with their blessings, I decided to be a monk. So in this way, in the year 2010, I became a monk, full-time monk on the day of Janmashtami. On the day of Radhashtami, I wore saffron. And in this way, the journey started. And we have been connected to the youth since then. But yes, after YouTube came, we could spread the message far and wide to more and more youths. And then here I am sitting with Ayushi, unplugged with the masters here in the session. So this is how the journey was. Very wonderful.
Wonderful journey, Amoghji. As you mentioned about the second point, I must tell you that, and this is not just for the video that it's getting recorded over here. Before the interview was about to start, looking at your profile and looking at your videos, I was quite nervous. There were multiple questions running in my mind. But as soon as we started this conversation, as soon as we started this interview, the kind of positivity, there was a different kind of vibe altogether, which made me relax just after listening to you. And that is how your charm is. And that is why all of us get connected to you.
Thanks so much.
So Amoghji, now that we are talking about the Bhagavad Gita, many of the people, they relate Bhagavad Gita as a life guiding book, which guides them to the right path, which shows them the reality of life. So I want to know over here is that what were your learnings from Bhagavad Gita? What were your greatest lessons from Bhagavad Gita that switched you or that transformed you to the person that you are today?
First thing which was very striking was about my identity. No book, no knowledge talks about our identity. Firstly, the Bhagavad Gita talks about that we are not the body, we are soul. So soul we have not seen. So what I'm seeing, I'm not that. And which I can't see, I'm that. This was very striking. It was way too heavy a knowledge for me to digest that I am not this, which I see in the mirror. I'm not this. I'm residing inside this. What? So this was very shaking. But I could see that this knowledge is so very helpful in dealing with the body, dealing with the mind, that I'm not the body. Somebody insults me. Hey, you are like a pumpkin, man. But excuse me, I'm not this body. Hey, you have dark complexion, man. Excuse me, I'm not the body. I'm not the body. Wow. This disassociation in itself makes you peaceful, actually. That's so good. In fact, when mind is disturbed, you can say to yourself, well, it is not me who is disturbed. It is my mind who is disturbed. It is my ego which is disturbed. But I am not ego. I am not the mind. I am not the body. So in this way, dealing with the body, dealing with the mind and dealing with the ego becomes easier because I am disassociated. My identity is different from all of this. I am a soul. Oh. So this was very striking. Secondly, I could see that Bhagavad Gita very clearly and very distinctly talks about God. That Krishna is God. No generic stuff. No wishy-washy here and there, beating around the bush. No. Crystal clear. Aham sarvasya prabhu mattah sarvam pravartate. Krishna very clearly says that yes, he is the Lord. Okay, somebody may say, well, Krishna is saying, so we can also say, yes, I am God. But then Krishna also showed universal form to Arjuna to prove that he is the Lord, actually. Entire creation rests on him. So Bhagavad Gita is very crystal clear in describing about the identity of God. That Krishna is God. So it's not, Sanatan Dharma, it's a polytheistic religion, Yeah, there are many gods. No, there are many demigods. But God is one as per Sanatana Dharma. And that is Nattaha Paratanam Nanyat Kinchit Asti Dhananjaya as per 7.7 Bhagavad Gita. Nattaha Paratanam Nanyat. There is no higher truth other than me. O Dhananjaya, O Arjuna, I am the highest truth. Krishna clearly says. So such clear description about God, no generic wishy-washy thing. That was also very striking. That here comes a crystal clear knowledge about identity of God. Sometimes people, just to avoid conflict, they say, yeah, that's formless absolute truth who is all pervading reality. And in this way they avoid conflict. But in order to avoid conflict, when they do that, by doing so, they somewhere dilute the identity of God. If I say Ayushi, yeah, Ayushi is everywhere, Ayushi the stable is also Ayushi. The sky is also Ayushi. And then, I'm somewhere insulting the integrity of the identity of Ayushi. What am I doing? Same is what people do with God as well. God has identity. Krishna is the Lord, as per Srimad Bhagavad Gita, clear. So sometimes people say, well, he was a great yogi. No, he's not yogi, he's Yogeshwara. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Yatra Partha Dhanurdhara. He's Yogyo ki Ishwara ho. He is the Lord of the yogis. Yogis meditate on him. So that's Krishna. So second thing which is very striking about the Bhagavad Gita is that it clearly talks about identity of God. Third, I would say the way it talks about mind. The way mind functions, the way mind is so naughty, the way mind is so nasty. The greatest enemy can be the mind in case the mind is not controlled, and the mind can be the best of the friend in case the mind is controlled. Who has ever taught this wonderful knowledge? Wow! And Lord Krishna is saying, Abhyasin tu konteya vairagyen cha grihate. You can conquer the mind. By following certain do's and don'ts, the mind can be conquered. And Bhagavad Gita is very practical also. It talks about regulation of eating and sleeping. That the one who eats too much or eats too little, sleeps too much or sleeps too little, the person cannot become a yogi or a successful person. Wow, that's really amazing. So Bhagavad Gita even goes to the ground level of eating and sleeping as well. That you have to regulate it. Extreme of either of eating or sleeping is not good. So, and it talks about the three modes of nature, mode of goodness, passion and ignorance, Satogun, Rajogun, Tamogun. Entire world is just subdued, is completely, is controlled by the three modes of nature. If somebody understands these three modes of nature, I'm done. Wow. To deal with problems of life. In case your mind is really restless, you can see, oh, today my mind is in mode of passion. It's in Rajogun. Today my mind is too dull. It's in Tamogun. Today mind is very active. Oh, Satogun. Today mind is remembering the Lord. Oh, that's Divya. It is more than 3 gun. Wow. So Bhagavad Gita is knowledge all together on a different platform. And that's the beauty of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. It's a unique knowledge. Actually, unique and very transforming. It changes the perspective, the way we look at things. It changes the perspective, the way we deal with people and things. Absolutely masterpiece.
Thank you for enlightening us on these topics of Bhagavad Gita, because for many of the people it's just like a sacred book that people go through, but in reality it is a life guiding book which leads you to a right path, isn't it, Amogh?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You see, since all the problems are there in the mind, and because Bhagavad Gita deals with the mind, in this way Bhagavad Gita has solution to all the problems. Somebody may say, okay, what are the tips about parenting in Bhagavad Gita? Now there is no tip about parenting. How can Krishna give a tip on parenting to Arjuna when he is about to have a battle with the Kauravas? That's irrelevant. But Krishna is dealing with the mind, the way mind functions, the way mind degrades us. When mind is uplifted, then all things can be taken care of. So that's why we see that when we say Bhagavad Gita has solutions to all the problems in life. Acha, in case my near and dear one is cheating on me, then what's the solution in the Bhagavad Gita? Well, since your mind is now absolutely first class in a situation to deal with any problem in life, that's why you can face anything in life. So in this way, Bhagavad Gita offers the solution to all the problems in life.
So Amogh, you get connected to the youth more often as you are the director of ISKCON Youth Forum. So here I want to understand is that when we talk about the youth, I believe that the youth would understand spirituality more when they are into the spiritual journey, or there are certain section of the youth who would understand spirituality when they would be told about the fruits that they would get, like you would get this after this, or you would get that after that, right? So according to you, what is it all for the youth? Why should a teenager, or why should a youngster should get into spirituality or should get into bhakti?
Well, I would say youths, they are ready for spirituality. Youths have got questions. Now, since we are not able to answer their questions, that's why youths, even though they show some kind of initial interest in spirituality, but then they take a U-turn. Why? Because their questions were not being answered. Somewhere we are failing in answering their questions. Because education system trains them to ask questions, counter question, counter question. So that is what education system is. So that phase we have to take care of this mentality, this state of mind, that somewhere we have to very consciously, very logically, sensibly, scientifically, in a holistic way, answer their queries. And then youths, they become spiritual. We have seen so many of them becoming spiritual, whether even managers from IIMs, Ahmedabad, or technical people from IITs, they are becoming spiritual. They are becoming devotees of the Lord. Second thing which youth want to become spiritual is that they want good role models. They have seen good role models from film industry. So girls are having John Abraham, Ranveer Kapoor, Brandon Fraser, Tom Cruise in their rooms because that's their role models. Or boys are having Katrina Kaif, Julia Roberts, they're having in their rooms because these are their role models. But somewhere in spirituality, there is no role model for them to pursue. That's why the youth, they could not show their interest in spirituality. But once they see the role models in spirituality, then some of the saints also, they become their heroes. And as soon as they start having a spiritual hero in their life, they change their perspective. They are ready to become absolutely spiritual. This happens. So two things we have to do to make the youth spiritual. Firstly, we have to answer their questions. And secondly, we should have good examples for them, good role models for them to take inspiration from. That's what's required actually.
But what we generally say is that the youth are the future generations. They would lead us. But what we see in this era is that they are so confused and they are so tangled in various problems of their life that they don't know what exactly to do in life. So how can they come out of it, and how can they lead in a true path?
See, problems in life would always be there because this material world is known as Kuntha Lok. The kingdom of God is known as Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha means Vai means without, Kuntha means anxiety, without anxiety. So that's the kingdom of God. But this is Kuntha Lok. It's a place of anxiety. Now since this is a place of anxiety, so we should know that how to dodge the problems in life. And that's why many of the people who are not able to dodge, they get stuck. The problem in itself is not the problem, but mind getting stuck in that problem, that is the problem. So that means we are to apply lubricant to the mind. What is the lubricant for the mind? So that the mind can come out of the problems and move on. How to do that? Bhakti, the path of devotion. So even if you're working as a homemaker, you're working as a business person, you're working as a student, absolutely fine. But the problems, whatever they are there, in parallel, since we are doing bhakti, so bhakti gives that lubrication that we are able to dodge the problems. See, the road of materialistic life, this world where we are living in, it is ditchy. It has got so many holes, path holes in it. So that's why journey would be a little jerky. Why? Because there are so many path holes on the way. So one solution is that you repair the road and then you move ahead. Second thing is that you get a Mercedes for yourself, and Mercedes has got such nice shock absorbers that even if you go through a ditchy road, uneven road, still you do not get shocks. Why? Because shock absorbers of Mercedes are so good. But if you go by rickshaw, so rickshaw has got no shock absorber. So dhaka. How was the journey? Don't ask. I'll just take rest. Because you went through this uneven road of material life, of the material world. With e-rickshaw, that means devotionless life, no spirituality. But once we pursue this path, when we live life, our normal life, everyday life, our career life, family life, personal life, but now I am having Mercedes Benz of bhakti. So the shock absorbers are so good that even if we go through this road, which is quite uneven, which has got path holes, yet I can pass it with less shocks. Why? Because there is bhakti, there is devotion to God. So that's why each and every youth in this world, and India is supposed to be the leader, of course, because that's the speciality of Indians. Our speciality is not technology. Our speciality is not fashion. Our speciality is devotion to God, the path of spirituality. So when we become expert in that, then Indian youths can become role models for the world to pursue. That here are the happy people. Yes. So let's follow that path. Now, since Indians, they gave up this path of spirituality, that's why we see that in this world, now there is a crisis, the crisis of spirituality. So spiritual crisis is there. The credit goes to us, the Indians. Earlier, people used to come to Rishikesh from foreign nations so that they can learn spirituality. But now the visitors who are coming from the foreign countries, they are like 10% as they used to come in 70s or 60s. Why? Because there's hardly anyone who is spiritual. Now we are just after materialism. That's it. So somewhere we are losing that spiritual connection and that speciality of spirituality, especially path of bhakti. And that's why things are becoming topsy-turvy in everyone's life, whether Indians or Indian youth or youths in outside and other countries. So somewhere we have to do that. And then we can see that we can have better problem solving in everyday life. That's possible.
Before I go to my next question, Amogh, here I want to tell you is that the joyful way and the way you explain things with the examples of the real life, and that is the reason that you are a celebrity personality over here, and that is the reason that most of the youth, they get connected to you when they listen to your satsangs and when they listen to your videos. So thank you so much for explaining in such a beautiful manner and in a beautiful way that we all, for a second, we just pause there and we think that are we doing the right way, or are we, there are questions running up in our mind when you just start with the examples explaining us the aspects of the life.
Yeah. Mercy of Lord Shri Krishna. I'm just a small servant of the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. So I'm just trying to repeat his words. That's it.
Amogh, you said that it's very important for one to practice bhakti in life or the devotion in life. But what we face generally in life is that we get into devotion because we want certain things in life, or we just want to get away from the negativity or from the unnecessary things. We get into the devotion. But at certain stage, our mind says there's nothing over here. You're not getting the fruits. You're not getting the things that you desire for. And then we again switch to the same path again. How can one be steady in devotion?
Yeah. Now, even on the path of bhakti and on the path of devotion, in the beginning, we may tumble here and there a little bit. It is quite possible. Just like when a child begins to walk, there is some kind of struggle. But the child needs some kind of support, whether of a wall, whether of a pram, or somebody's hand. And this way, the child begins to walk. In the beginning, the child may fall while attempting to walk. But gradually the child becomes so spontaneous in walking. So similar is what happens to us on the path of bhakti as well. In the beginning, we may fall a little bit. We may struggle a little bit because we have got certain habits. But yes, gradually things settle down. Like our founder Srila Prabhupada used to say that just like when the fan is switched off, still because of momentum, the fan continues to revolve. But gradually it comes to a halt. Similarly, when we come to the path of devotion, come to the path of bhakti, we may still do some kind of mistakes because of the momentum of the habits. But gradually these habits, they lose their momentum because bhakti is very purifying. It purifies our consciousness, our mind, our habits, our perspectives. And this way we become perfect. But for that we need devotees' guidance. Just like we need somebody's hand, a pram, we need some kind of support so that we start walking. Similarly, we also need some kind of help, guidance of the devotees who are already practicing it, and then they can guide us. It's okay, this is how what you should do, you should avoid. So some do's and don'ts. So we always need guidance. Even to learn A, B, C, D, we need a teacher. How come we can learn Srimad Bhagavad Gita and the path of bhakti without a teacher? So certainly we need a teacher, and then we can take guidance. So teachers, sometimes they also corrects us, sometimes they may pull our ears, they can also do doubt clarification, they also bless us. So we need all of this actually. And then of course we can become steady on the path of bhakti in a due course of time. That's possible.
So Amogh, when we talk about the minds, we generally hear about the two minds. One is the monkey mind and one is the monk mind. Jay Shetty also mentioned this about the monkey mind and the monk mind in his book, and that is where I got to know about this two types of mind. So what monkey mind does is that it leads us to the materialistic world and also to the unnecessary things, whereas the monk mind, it gives us a warning that you are on a wrong path, you are not doing the things in a right way. It keeps giving us signals, but the monkey mind is so strong that it doesn't let us switch from that monkey mind to the monk mind. So how can we control our mind? How can we keep our mind in such a way that it doesn't get distracted to the unnecessary things?
Okay, now since a monkey mind is there, so mind when is especially influenced by the lower modes, which is Rajogun and Tamogun. Rajogun makes the mind very restless and Tamogun makes the mind very dull or full of anger, vengeance. So there's Tamasic. So Tamogun and Rajogun, they make the mind really very restless. So just like in a pen drive, when there is virus, we can't use the pen drive. When you put it in the USB drive and then it gives a pop-up. The administrator has blocked your privileges to access the drive. Excuse me? Administrator has blocked my privileges? I'm the administrator because there is virus in the hard disk, in the pen drive. So first we have to run Norton antivirus, Norton, McAfee, Quick Heal, AVG. We have to run all of that, and then we can make the hard disk free from viruses, and then the hard disk or the pen drive can be used. Similar is the case with the mind as well. Mind is also having the viruses of Rajogun and Tamogun and subjects which are of the similar nature. So first we have to do the detox. We have to first clean the viruses. As the viruses get cleaned in a due course of time, then the mind becomes healthier. As the mind becomes more sattvic, so then mind is very healthy, mind is very cheerful, and mind is very positive naturally. Yeah. So that's why we need to clean it. So what's the AVG virus? Which is this Norton and McAfee for the mind? Chanting the names of God. This is the antivirus. And once you start running this antivirus, then there is cleansing happening. So all these viruses they are quarantined or they are deleted forever. And in this way the mind becomes absolutely changa. Mind becomes healthy. Mind becomes cleansed, sattvic, focused. So this is what happens with the mind. But yes, this can take some time. Just like when somebody is sick and he takes paracetamol. Say in case if I am having 105 degrees centigrade fever, and if I take paracetamol, say if from 105 it comes down to 102, but fever is still there, medicine is also there. So there comes an in-between stage where medicine is also there and fever is also there. So once somebody is practicing the path of bhakti, so in between there comes the stage where bhakti, the medicine is also there, and past habits, the past sanskars, they are also there as a fever, they are there. But gradually, just like medicine shows its effect, it becomes more dominant and the fever goes away. Similarly, all the impurities in the mind, they gradually go away, and then there is healthier mind. It is just that we should be regular in taking the medicine of chanting the names of God, taking spiritual instructions like Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and that's the way to cure the mind.
In one of your videos, you have mentioned about the self-confidence and 4 easy tips to build our self-confidence. I would request you to just repeat that for all our audience so that they can understand better and they can apply that in their life.
About self-confidence?
Yeah. How to build self-confidence.
Yes. So there I talk about that. Firstly, one should realize the great lineage where the person is coming. So I should know what is my great lineage. Second thing is that it was about preparation. There is no shortcut to preparation. So we should also prepare very well and in case if I want to have confidence. Thirdly, I should be ready for failures as well, because we often lose our confidence because I am fearful of failures. But failures are great episodes of learning. So in case if I see failures as episodes of learning, then I'm not fearful of failures. So that also brings in confidence. And fourthly, we should also know that this is not the last thing in life, Baba. This is not the last thing. Things or phenomena or people, they are part of life. God should be heart of life. So part of life, sometimes we are successful, sometimes we are not so successful. That's okay, take a chill pill. But yet at the same time, I should know that God should be heart of life. And this way we will always have the confidence to move ahead, go for new ventures, experience the adventures, we can pursue that very easily.
Now, Amogh ji, I would again go back to your life. When you were transforming yourself from a different phase to a monkhood, what were the obstacles that you had to overcome? What were the challenges that you were facing? Because in our personal life, what usually our lifestyle is that late night sleepovers, not having a particular daily routine. But when we get into the spirituality, when we get into the monkhood, we have certain principles, we have certain daily routines to follow. So how challenging was it that for you?
Okay, in my life it was not much of challenging, reason being I gave a time for transition. When I was doing my engineering, so I was still getting up early, not really 4 o'clock, but I was getting up by say 5 o'clock. Similar was my routine when I was working. So I also gave myself time to change myself. So it was not a sporadic all of a sudden change. No, it was not like that. So I also took some time. So similarly, somebody comes to Krishna consciousness, somebody comes to bhakti, one can take one's time to completely change and completely transform, and that's perfectly okay. But usually I've seen when I see the youth, when they get connected, some of the challenges which they face is that when people question their integrity, when people question their faith, and you are following bhakti, this Hare Krishna, what's this, man? Come on, this is for old age, not for young age. You are connected to ISKCON. That's a foreign organization. That's an American organization. So people, when they pinpoint somebody, then one has to gather the courage to answer them back. So there are people who question the faith, the practices, because everyone is living a normal materialistic life, godless life. At the max, they come to God so that they can say, Sukha Sampati Gharaave, Kashta Mate Tanka, Om Jai Jagadish Hare, Sukh Sampati Gharaye, Kashta Mate Tanka, Om Jai Jagadish Hare. Apart from that, neither you see my face nor I'll see your face. Done. That's a kind of spirituality which is not really spirituality. It's what people are doing. So somebody will say, well, you are a young guy, man. What are you doing? You want to become a monk? Come on. That's not practical. Be a householder. So somebody may pinpoint like that. Of course, one can be a householder and a nice devotee as well. It's not like that you have to become a monk. But in the beginning, people question. Even if somebody wants to be a householder, still people say, well, you are doing this. That's way too much. Bhakti should be just like a garnishing on the top. That's it. Yeah, don't go so deep on the surface level only. This is what people say. And that's the kind of, sometimes when people question your conviction, your faith, that's one challenge. Sometimes there are challenges about habits as well. Somebody, say, was already involved with somebody else, and then there are certain kind of habits. So to change those habits and perceptions, that also may take some time. And of course, once one is done with graduation, then there is no reading habit. But in spirituality, still we have to read. Throughout our lives, we have to read. Usually people they are done. Well, I did my graduation. I am now in my job. Now no more studies. Now I study only WhatsApp messages. That's it. But we have to still continue with this habit of reading, hearing, acquiring knowledge, making notes, as we used to do in our school and college. That happens throughout our life, in the life of a spiritualist. That's also there. And then, of course, the rest of the changes, they come gradually. Like for example, sleeping early, getting up early in the morning. There's somebody who was addicted for movies. Now there are no more movies. But still, life is quite adventurous. We are singing, dancing right from 4:30 a.m. Wow, that's so nice. So in this way, there is spiritual rejuvenation. Spiritual fun is also there. So spiritual life is not boring at all. It is full of engagement. It is full of service. It is full of connection to the people. We are actually Nokia, connecting people to God. So we are the Nokia, the spiritual Nokias. So in Nokia ko haan kiya. So in this way we gradually evolve and we change, we transform, and this transformation is very beautiful, provided we continue in the process of bhakti. So bhakti really transforms. Bhakti is very, very powerful. In fact, it is the most powerful process for self-realization. Where we have self-realization, we have God realization, and the love between the two. Everything comes by bhakti.
You have mentioned about reading books and the importance of reading books in one's life. So what are those 5 books that one should read in their lifetime, which would help them to transform themselves, which would help them to build their lives? Okay,
firstly, Srimad Bhagavad Gita. It's the masterpiece one should read. I would say Srimad Bhagavatam. That's also a masterpiece. In fact, Bhagavad Gita is like graduation. So Srimad Bhagavatam is like post-graduation of spirituality. Srimad Bhagavatam. And then there's a PhD study also there, which is known as Sri Chaitanya Charitamrit, which is about the life of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Krishna himself. So God himself, by his own behavior, teaching how to do bhakti. That is Sri Chaitanya Charitamrit. That's like a PhD study of spirituality. So at least one can go through these 3 books. They themselves are absolutely complete. And once we are read this, you would see that these books are like encyclopedia for spirituality. Now there is nothing else left to be read. They are so complete in themselves. So I would request all the readers to, in their lifetime, they should at least must read these 3 masterpieces: Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Sri Chaitanya Charitamrit. Awesome. Really awesome. In every mawsam, they are awesome.
So they are like a power pack.
Oh yes, absolutely. You would not be able to read anything else after reading them, because they give you such high class taste that everything else becomes a low class taste. So once you have tasted the mango shake with strawberries, with ice cream, vanilla ice cream, and this and that, then you can't take anything else, Baba. And that is what these books do to you. They give you such high class taste of spirituality. You are stunned that this rasa was missing in my life. Wow. That's the nature of these books, actually.
So all the audience who are watching this episode of Unplugged with Masters, I would urge everyone to read these 5 books so that you can also transform your lives and you can get the true essence of life by reading these 5 books.
Oh yes, absolutely. So 3 books are there. So 2 books, I can say, one is Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, which is Nectar of Devotion. That's also one more masterpiece. And 5th one, I would say Srila Prabhupada Leelamrit, which is about, it's a biography of His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Once after reading this book, especially Srila Prabhupada Leelamrit, you would never ever be disappointed, because this person has seen so many hardships, yet he was successful in implanting bhakti in the heart of Americans. Wow, this has never ever happened in the past. Saints have gone from India to the West. They gave discourses, 1 or 2 discourses, and that's it. But none of them made devotees. The Americans becoming devotees. That was done by Srila Prabhupada. So his life history, which is in Srila Prabhupada Leelamrit, it's again very, very inspirational. So these 5 books I recommend: Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrit, Nectar of Devotion or Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, and Srila Prabhupada Leelamrit. And then you are done. In terms of knowledge, you are done. You just keep reading them again and again and again, and then you dive deep into the nectar and you are swimming in the nectar. Wow. And that's the perfection of existence.
I would surely start reading these books, because that is the need of the hour. I must say that, we are tangled in so many things in life that we are not able to find the right path. We are not able to come out of those tangles, and that is where we need such guidance from the books, where we need guidance from the masters, so that they can push us through the right path. They can push us through the spirituality.
Oh yes.
Now that I got an opportunity to get connected to you, I wouldn't miss this opportunity. So I have few of my personal questions to ask to you.
Sure.
First thing, whenever I go to the ISKCON temple and whenever I recite Hare Krishna Hare Rama with them, there is a calmness inside me. There is a peace of mind. Whenever I keep reciting it for many number of times, I am just out of negativity. I'm just out of, all the problems of life. So I just wanted to know from you that why does it happen? What is the essence of this mantra in one's life?
Actually, bhakti is one of our need. Bhakti is the inherent nature of the soul. As soon as there comes a vibration of spirituality, bhakti to the soul becomes very happy that finally this person is catering to that need. He was fulfilling the physical needs, mental needs, intellectual needs, egoistic needs, but the spiritual need was always neglected. Finally, this need is being catered. Wow. And that's why we feel joy. This chanting the names of God, it nourishes the soul. It uplifts the soul. It makes the soul more divine. It frees the soul from the clutches of the lower modes, from lust, anger, greed, pride, enviousness, illusion, egotism, self-love, madness. So the soul comes out of all of this because of those sound vibrations. And that's the soul becomes happier, calmer. That's the reason actually.
The very first thing in life that I usually face, and I usually ask every master that I meet, is that how do I control my anger? How do I control my irritation? Because these are the two factors that literally make me go on a very wrong path, wherein later on I regret in life that why did I do that? Why didn't I think about it in the first place? So from you, I want to clarify is that how can we control anger?
Especially I would say about anger, there are three people who become angry at the fall of hat. First are those who are control freaks. They are in the madness of controlling. As the things go out of control, then they become angry. So firstly, we should know that we are not the controllers. We may control few things, but not everything. So we should have this wisdom. What I can control, what I cannot control. What I can control, I should not worry about because I can control. And that which I cannot control, I should not worry about because that I cannot control. So as soon as you have this wisdom, which you can control, which you cannot control, you do not become angry. Second is that, who become angry is that? Second are those who are perfectionists, who want everything 10 upon 10, 10 upon 10, 10 upon 10. No, not everything is 10 upon 10. Well, of course, why not? Everything should be 10 upon 10, man. My wife should be 10 upon 10. My husband should be 10 upon 10. My children should be 10 upon 10. My salary should be 10 upon 10. My savings should be 10 upon 10. My neighbor should be 10 upon 10. Neighbor's wife should be 10 upon 10. Everything should be 10 upon 10. Is everything going to be 10 upon 10? Of course not. That's the unrealistic expectation. So perfectionist people, they may have trophies, they may have certificates, they may have appreciations, but they also have BP and sugar ki pills. Why? Because they were perfectionists. They want everything to be 10 upon 10. We should try our level best, and that's it. So give your best, and then Krishna takes care of rest. That's the funda of life. But yes, those who are perfectionists, they also become angry. Third are enjoyment maniacs. They want to have fun. Everything is meant for fun. I'll have jobs so that I can have fun. I'll get married so that I can have fun. Fun, fun, fun. Maza, maza, maza. Life ban jati saza, saza, saza. So somewhere this attitude of having fun always. No, there are few things they are meant to be done out of duty. Sense of duty. That's also required. So these three class of people, they become angry very easily. Very easily. First, control freaks. Second, perfectionist. Third are enjoyment maniacs. You give up these three attitudes, your anger would come down very easily. Just having that wisdom that where to invest, what is in my circle of influence, that which is in my circle of concern. So that really helps us. And rest, of course, by practicing bhakti. Bhakti purifies the lower modes, because anger comes because of mode of ignorance, tamogun. So more this tamogun inside in the software, so we become angry more often. So as tamogun is removed in the consciousness, from the consciousness, and then person doesn't become angry so easily. He becomes angry for somebody's betterment. He becomes angry to correct somebody in case one has the right to do that. But that anger also is having knowledge. So it's not like a blind anger, blazing fire kind of anger. No, it's not like that. So that anger has got education, inspiration, a concern, that kind of anger. So that kind of anger is good. Anger is an emotion. Anger is not bad. But there is a use or a misuse of emotion. In case there is a misuse of emotion, that's bad. But in case you are using it rightly, then of course anger is also good. Like Hanumanji, he became angry. When he burnt Lanka to ashes, he was angry. But at that time, he was also conscious that I should not burn Ashokvatika and I should not burn the house of Vibhishan, because Vibhishan is a devotee of the Lord. So he did not burn entire Lanka. He burnt Lanka, but the two places he left, because yet, even though he was angry, yet he was conscious. So not that he just blew away the Lanka and then, oh no, Ashok Vatika is also burnt to ashes. Oh God, operation successful, patient dead. So that Hanumanji did not do. So that kind of anger is transcendental anger, no doubt.
Because I know, Amogh ji, most of the people, most of the youngsters in life, what they face is the anger issues, the decisions that they make in anger, because at that particular moment of time they are so heated, the mind is so out of control in anger that they don't realize that what are the decisions that they are making, what are the things that they are making. And at the second moment, when they sit and when they analyze things with a very calm mind, that is when they realize that what they were doing is wrong. But till then it's quite late for them to correct that decision.
Yeah, that's true.
So Amogh ji, the third thing and the last thing I want to ask you is about, whenever I do certain things in life, what people tell me is that the karma would follow. In fact, I do things with a positive mind, not thinking about the karmic things or not thinking that, I want to hurt that person. But at times it happens unintentionally. So what I usually hear from the people is that the law of karma would apply. So I just want to ask you here is that this law of karma really exist? And if it does, how does law of karma applies? And how does it work in life?
Actually, law of karma, if in a very simple term, if in a very simple way, if I explain, law of karma is for every action, there is equal and opposite reaction. This is Newton's third law. Yeah. So for every action, there is equal and opposite reaction. So every action we are to become accountable of. In everyday life also. Like so for example, if I do not brush my teeth, karmic, so the reaction would come that I would have tooth decay. So it's like karma coming back. In case if I do not pay the electricity bill, my electricity would be cut off. So karmic reaction. So for action there are karmic reaction. There is a reaction. So some of the actions we can track, some of the actions we can't track. But yes, the mother nature keeps account of all the actions which we have done in the past, even in past lives. So I would say life is like a test match. In a test match there is opening balance as well. In case we see that, oh, this team has just started playing, but on scoreboard there is already some kind of score. What is that? Well, that's from first innings. Carry forward. So opening balance. It was a closing balance of the inning of first innings, but that's opening balance for second innings. So same thing happens with the law of karma as well. We start, we end, and then we also have got certain opening balance in this life coming from past life. That's there. So law of karma is applicable on all. Especially we accumulate karma when we are in human form of life. Like animals, they don't accrue karma. They are reaping karmic reaction. So they are known as bhoga yoni. But human form of life is known as karma yoni. That means we also have got this consciousness. We also have this decision-making power, the power of discrimination. We have the intelligence. And that's why this is known as karma yoni. So we do karma in this life, and then we are to reap the results in this life or maybe in coming lives as well. So this is how law of karma it works.
Okay. So many of the people, they think that the law of karma, it doesn't apply. They do certain things, at the heat of the moment, thinking that, oh, law of karma won't apply it to them. And they continue with all of those things in their life. But that is when they realize in the future that was all because of the karmic things that they did in the past.
Absolutely. It's not that you do something suddenly and then you dodged law of karma. No, we cannot dodge it. Nobody can dodge it. So we have our body, that's also karmic reaction. Like some people have beautiful body, some people have ugly looking body, some people have very, very healthy body, some people have unhealthy body. It's karma. My financial status is my karma. My spouse is my karma. My parents is my karma. So we get, not that it's a random event. I got my parents randomly, like this. Okay, next life I'll become son of Birla and Tata. Yeah, I'll choose. Excuse me, sir. That you can't choose. So that's given to you as per your karma. So that's why there are many things which are destined. Although while experiencing destiny, we still have got some choices. Like this body is my destiny. This is my destiny. My intellect, my body, the health status is this is my karma. And while experiencing this karma, I can make certain choices. So free will and destiny, they both go in parallel. So not that life is just driven by destiny or just driven by free will or choices. It's a mix of the two.
Amogh ji, we have known you from different social media platforms. But we never knew you from behind the cameras or from behind this. So there are a lot of audience who wanted to know about your schedule. What Amogh Lila Prabhu ji does behind the cameras? What is his usual schedule?
Okay, so I get up at 4 a.m. and then I take bath, get myself ready for 4:30 a.m. Mangal Aarti in the temple. Because I'm a monk, so I stay in the monastery. So 4:30 we have the Mangal Aarti, darshan of Radha and Krishna. And then there are certain prayers which we have from 4:30 till 5:15, 5:20. We have these prayers. We sing the holy name in the morning, and then afterwards there is 2 hours of meditation session on the holy name. We chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. We have our beads on the Tulsi beads. We chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we got these 2 hours of meditation on the holy name. So approximately 2 hours being spent in chanting Hare Krishna, and then 7:15 again the darshan open. So meanwhile, when we were chanting, so now the Lord was getting decorated with more formal, beautiful. He is more gorgeously dressed. So then 7:15 again we have the darshan open, and then 7:30 we have Guru Puja. We worship His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada as our Guru. He was the one who never said that I am God. He said that I am a servant of God. But as a matter of gratitude that He gave us the path of bhakti, entire world is today chanting Hare Krishna. Whether 20,000 people in China, whether 4 lakh people in Russia, all across the globe people are chanting Hare Krishna because of this person. So we worship him in the morning. And then 8 o'clock till 9:15 or 9:30 we have a class on Srimad Bhagavatam. So 9:30 then we have got our breakfast. So I also take my breakfast. Usually in the morning I take only fruits. And then in the afternoon, of course, I have proper meal where I take grains. And in my dinner usually I prefer to take soup, so like that. In between, of course, after I've taken my breakfast, then we go for various services. Sometimes I'm making my YouTube videos, sometimes I am having meetings with some people as people come and share their heart. Sometimes they have their questions, ambiguities, they come and ask, so I spend time with them. Or I may be busy in some kind of meetings for temple construction, because we are making a gorgeous, beautiful temple for Shri Rukmini Dwarkadish in ISKCON Dwarka. So sometimes we have meetings with the architect, the engineers. Sometimes we sit with some donors so that they can give money so that we can make a beautiful temple of their Lord. And sometimes I get busy with Food for Life as well. As you know that ISKCON Dwarka distributed around 4 crore plates of sanctified food during COVID-19 pandemic, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. So sometimes we have to meet donors as well so that we get money, so that we still distribute food. Of course, we are not doing that now on that level, but to some level it's still happening. And sometimes I'm going to some colleges, sometimes I'm going to some corporate sector institutes or say organizations, and then I'm delivering, or sometimes I'm traveling, meeting people, delivering discourses, counseling people, meeting families, students. Or otherwise I'm reading also. I like reading the holy scriptures. I read them also. Sometimes I go for marathons as well. I may go for no service, no preaching, just 6 hours of reading, 8 hours of reading the holy scriptures, hearing from great saintly personalities in ISKCON. And there are some great learned scholars in ISKCON. So I hear them, I learn from them. I also attend courses and I also deliver courses. This is what I do. And in this way the whole day is spent, and then I take rest around say 10 o'clock to 10:30 p.m. I take rest. So this is how my routine is, you know.
Did you ever picture yourself, Amogh ji, while you were a kid or in your childhood days, that you would be doing what you're doing right now?
No, not at all. In my wildest dream, I never thought I would be doing this, what I'm doing now. So certainly I see this, it's a plan of God. It's a plan of Supreme Lord Shri Krishna, that He is engaging me in this service to humanity, helping people come closer to Him. I'm just trying to become a small instrument of His grace. So I feel that is really blessed. So, but yes, I never thought that my life would be like this. I feel really blessed.
So it was a wonderful conversation with you, Amogh ji. We got to learn new aspects, and we got to learn a lot of things in this conversation, and we are looking forward for many such conversations where we can connect with you. So before I wind up this episode, I wanted to give a strong message to all the audience watching this session.
Well, I would say a message from my side is that this human form of life is very valuable, and we should not waste it in just in eating, sleeping, mating, and struggle for existence. This is what animals are already doing, and if we also do same things, and what's the difference between animal life and human life? So, as the Shastras they say, Ahar Nidra Bhay Mathunam Cha Samanyam Etat Pashubhir Naranam. That these 4 activities are Samanyam Etat Pashubhir Naranam. Dharmo hi tesham adhiko vishesho. Adhik vishesh baat kya hai? Dharmo hi tesham adhiko vishesho. But the most special prerogative which we have in a human form of life is following the path of religiosity, dharma, spirituality, bhakti. This is what we are supposed to do. Dharmena hina pashubhi samana. Without the practice of bhakti and devotion to God, pashubhi samana. It is just animal life. Just we are walking on 2 legs, they walk on 4 legs. That's the only difference. So let's make best use of this human form of life. And this human form of life is meant to revive our intense, mad, pure, divine, sublime love for Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. And that's the purpose of this existence. So we may have to do other duties as well, no doubt we should do that. But at the same time, if we do not do this, cultivating our love for God, then somewhere we would be a failure getting this human form of life, which is so rare. So that's why I would request all those who are viewing this video, let's make the best use of this human form of life. So career is important, family is important, health is also important, but certainly apart from that, there is one very, very most important aspect, which is the path of devotion to Supreme Lord. So give your hearts to God, and then you experience the euphoria, the ecstasy of life. That's what my humble request to all of you is. Hare Krishna.
Well, Amogh ji, it was a powerful message indeed. It was a wonderful session. I must tell you that. I have interviewed a lot of spiritual masters, but this was a deepest conversation. Though it was like a questionnaire, but the moment you were telling things, I was getting connected in my head. So that is where I felt more connected in this conversation. And thank you so much for your teachings. Thank you so much for spreading your learnings to all of us, because in this life we are so tangled in life, we are so tangled in our personal life, that we are looking for spiritual masters like you. We are looking for someone to show us the right path, for someone to guide us throughout. So thank you so much, Amogh ji, and this is my heartfelt thank you to you for joining in this episode of Unplugged with Masters, because it was wonderful having you here and wonderful knowing about your life journey, about the various teachings that you taught us today. Hare Krishna, Amogh ji. Thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting me, Ayushi ji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Amogh ji. Thank you so much. Well, viewers, today we were in conversation with Amogh Lila Prabhu ji, the Vice President of ISKCON Dwarka, New Delhi, and the Director of ISKCON Youth Forum. One who is transforming millions of lives. I hope that this interview, this conversation, and this episode of Unplugged with Masters would be a life-changing episode for all of you, because the teachings, the way Amogh ji explained about the various things in life, how does it imply, why we shouldn't do that, and what are the consequences of it. I just hope that, rewinding this episode, you would just go through what all he taught us in this episode, and you would imply that in life. And yeah, don't forget to read those 5 books if you really want to transform your life, if you really want to lead in a true path, and in fact in the right path. So with this is Ayushi Pharasi signing off. Stay tuned to PMC English for more updates.